Hi everyone, I hope you're well. This is CoinsKid. Just going to dive into Bitcoin. Big of the CoinsKid crew. So at the minute that the DXY, you can clearly see, if we take a look at this, it's inversely correlated to Bitcoin. At the bottom is the RSI. The orange line is the price action of Bitcoin, and obviously the candles is the DXY. And we've been riding this like an absolute boss so far. So if we take a look at the orange line just there, you've got some kind of double top just there, okay? And if you take a look at the price action in the DXY, the candles, okay, the index against a basket of other currencies, just did the DXY, you can see you've got some kind of double bottom at the moment. So right now we could say, okay, we've got some kind of double top and we're coming down, we've got some kind of double bottom and we're coming up like this. So until this starts to look like it's reversing again, then the sort of stance is that Bitcoin's coming down and this is coming up. Basically, it really is that simple. We're riding it like an absolute bossy. You can clearly see off this low just there, when this started to create this sort of correction at the moment, which is coming up, we began to create this sort of correction here for the Bitcoin as well. There's a lot of confluence lining up. Though equally, what we're looking for, in my opinion, for the DXY is some kind of reversal pattern, okay, which will indicate that we're looking really bullish. We've not necessarily got one down here yet. I'm looking for this to get really oversold on the daily time frame, and most importantly, on a macro view, a weekly time frame, looking for a big reversal pattern as well. So I think that what this actually is at the moment is corrective. Okay, it is until it isn't. The one way which will absolutely determine to me that it's no longer corrective and what we've got is a massive move here for the DXY, which takes out that high, is obviously taking out that high. I think if we see the DXY come up and take out that high just there, that actually is devastating for Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that. I think that level sits at roughly, where is that? The high on the DXY is 105.883. If we start to see a DXY taking it out, then possibly what we've got is an impulsive move, corrective move, and right now we're beginning another massive impulsive move, and you're just going to see Bitcoin and crypto tank basically for the remainder of the year. So we're always trying to find confluence in other charts, okay, and the DXY is absolute boss at that, because if you take a look here, when we did get the breakdown for the DXY, it was a big monster bearish pattern just there way back in November, wasn't it? We initially went with the DXY, okay, but when we went, we found a feet just there for the DXY, came back up into resistance, and this is where Bitcoin actually carved out this bottom, started to come back upstairs as the DXY broke down here, which was anticipated. And you can clearly see what we have got as an inverse correlation at each point. Once the DXY got to our target down here, which was a target once you've broken down here because it was the bottom of the wedge, do you remember that? Okay, so for those that have been tuning in for a very long time will realize that that was our target just there, and from there we had a massive move for Bitcoin. But once the DXY bottomed, what happened to Bitcoin? It came in for this big irregular ABC correction that bottomed just there, and at that point, that's why we find the top of the DXY, because of the big bearish divergence as well. And then we've come in for another potentially impulsive move, if not a retracement. So it's squeaky bum time, because possibly, we have got some kind of big double top just there for the DXY and some kind of big double bottom here for the DXY, and right now we're going to come back up and bust a move and take out that resistance, and Bitcoin's going to tank and lose all support. Absolutely possible, okay, but right now what I'm looking for the DXY is just a continuation of the breakdown here, and continue to come up like this, have some kind of retracement correction to that high before continuation for the eventual target, which is a third retest of that trend line. I've gone through this with you so many times, which is where the DXY does usually bottom out, okay, of a larger correction, which I actually think the DXY is going through. So I think we're potentially going through some kind of correction on Bitcoin just there, just whilst this going through some kind of correction on the DXY just there, okay. So I'm going to try and find the top of this correction for you. So I think that what we are doing, just simply retracing to this high, okay. So you can clearly look at the moment, key resistance on the 236. Now a synonymous level with a dead cat bounce is the 0.5 fib. So I would say until we start to see the DXY bust a move in some kind of reversal pattern and come up and retrace to that high, the 1 fib, and starts to turn a corner, I would not necessarily be looking to re-enter Bitcoin at the moment, okay, because I think you're still going through this correction, and the DXY is the leading indicator of that. So what we're looking for on the DXY, just like we've got here, this massive move for the DXY, and Bitcoin went through this nasty crash and correction. We're looking for potentially get back up into the oversold levels just there with a bearish divergence again. So at the minute the DXY is not doing that, but if we do start to do that, then we've got a bit of confluence in the charts again on the DXY that Bitcoin's correction could actually be in. And obviously the fail of that is if the DXY starts to come up right now, bust a move through all of these fibs, takes out the 1 fib, wow, that will be absolutely devastating for Bitcoin and the crypto markets. And I think it could actually lead to a new impulsive move to the downside, which would be unfounded in my opinion, because I actually personally believe that the DXY is in a massive downtrend and Bitcoin's in a massive uptrend, and it will absolutely throw all that out the window if we start to see the resistance broken in the DXY, 105.85, and equally the support lost here for Bitcoin, which is a weekly 20 EMA. It's currently sitting around about 24k at the moment. So it's all in front of us. We've not lost any key support from a macro view yet. In actual fact, what we have done, and I've gone through this with you on the monthly time frame here for the DXY. I know it's a bit confusing, I do apologize. The monthly time frame for the DXY, what we have done, which is kind of a looking glass and kind of a time machine, is we've got a close below the 10 EMA just there, which led to a retracement to the 20, okay? And what we did, we ran into the 10 as resistance, and right now what we've done in the month of April is close below the 20. So for me, this is just retracing for the continuation of this trend, basically, with the DXY. Obviously, can be completely invalidated if we start to see it coming up and taking out that resistance just there and closing back above the 10 and 20 EMA. That will actually be bullish for the DXY, and it's found its correction, basically. But what I'm looking at, because you've closed below the 20, it does target the 55 as the next level. So this is looking for continuation. So providing Bitcoin can get that correction out the way, the DXY retraces to 0.5 fib, then we're looking pretty tasty for continuation. The minute it starts to take out that resistance and Bitcoin loses its support, that's the time to flip bearish. Do you understand? Because at the moment we are simply in a downtrend on the DXY, retracing for the continuation, and Bitcoin we're in an up retracing for the continuation of the uptrend. It really is that simple. Let's not overcomplicate it, okay? And this is what happens. What goes up must come down. Let's dive into the Bitcoin chart right now. So looking at Bitcoin on a daily time frame, we do have some kind of ascending levels, resistance just there, support just there, support just there, and support just there. This is why yesterday I did say to you, I've gone long off this trend line with my stop down here on this low, because it negates this little move that I'm looking at for Bitcoin. So right now, if we do start to come up into this resistance because we're melted through that support just there, if we start to come up and take it out and start to attack that white line just there, then I would be a little bit more inclined to say we've got some kind of big symmetrical triangle here for Bitcoin, and we're sort of doing something like this, okay? And we might not necessarily see this big drop towards the yellow line. If we do get the drop towards the yellow line, I do think it's an opportunity, to be honest with you, because in bull markets we don't usually get many opportunities to backtest that, and any that we do are just opportunities, to be honest with you. So until we start to lose that yellow line, which is the weekly 20 EMA, which currently sits at, what is that right now? That is currently 25271. Until we start to lose that white, the yellow line, sorry, and close below it on the weekly, I have to remain bullish here, okay? So the minute we lose that as support, then, for me, I'll flip bear, and it really is that simple, okay? Because we don't usually go under that in a bull market or a massive impulsive move. It's only when we lose that as support that we are in a big crash, big correction, or big push to the downside, basically. So squeaky bum time if we do get down that far and we start to close below that. Now, if you remember way back here a few months ago, everyone got really bearish down here in this big irregular correction that we was looking at as well, in inverse correlation with the DXY, which I've shown you earlier in the video. And I said to you, please be patient. We're losing it at the moment. I think it's an opportunity, and it was, because if we take a look at the weekly time frame, look at the big wick, we close back above, see you later, and that's exactly what Bitcoin did the week after. All that bearishness down there, all that is going to zero, this is a fake out bull trap. Look at that, was just an opportunity. So right now, I would not jump into sort of any conclusion that Bitcoin is looking ultra bearish until we start to see the weekly closes below that yellow line. Really is that simple, okay? So at the minute I have to predict to the upside because Bitcoin's in a clear uptrend on the weekly time frame. Really is simple. So in the meantime, we're allowed to correct back down to it, but not lose it as support. So that critical support for me is 25271. See that lost on the weekly, boom, we project into the downside again. Really is simple, okay? So until then, I'm trying to find the waves, I'm trying to find the moves. We do have a possible level of ascending level support here just here. Boom, get price compression lead to expansion to the upside. Equally, we do have a breakdown pattern here. I'm not a perma bull, whatever, some kind of double top drop. If we do start to close below that support at 27251, I would absolutely target that yellow line as a buyback for me for Bitcoin, okay? So basically at the minute I'm long off this trend line. I'm looking to ride it back up into this resistance of this support that was melted through just there without back testing it resistance. So it's a lovely little long op on Bybit to come back up into 28007. I'll take some profit of that. If it gets through, amazing. If it breaks that white line, even equally amazing. But at the minute I just think you're sort of caught in some kind of big correction at the moment, and looking for a sense of direction. One thing in time, if we take out that local high, wow, it's going to absolutely explode. Hope you enjoyed that update. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay tuned. Take care everyone. Back to another update on Bitcoin. Bye bye.